It looks like that time is almost here. I mean, most of my work points to this year going on and maybe even the first 2 quarters of next year. I've chosen not to say where I think Bitcoin will go in public, but I think things will really go up in the second part of this year. But what if Bitcoin reached 500,000 by the end of this year? I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying if it did, I think there will be a short squeeze at some point because everyone will realize that it is a limited asset and that some people need to borrow on it because they got into trouble in 21 and 22. They are borrowing future output and other things. I've seen this and am now through it. If there's a spike, it will reach $10 trillion in Bitcoin. The whole environment will get better. People are looking to the altcoin season, the XRP season, where they say you can see astronomical gains now that Bitcoin is at a new all-time high. And yes, I do believe that this is the way things should be. Everyone knows that liquidity tends to go down over time. In my videos, I talk about this a lot. Actually, I think now is a good time for you all to really concentrate on what might be going to happen here, right? Yes, it's not always up all the time. Even though we just had a great rally, we could go a lot higher if this trend continues and more money keeps coming into the markets. This is what many people think will happen because of the huge amounts of money coming into the markets from China, Europe, Japan, and other developed countries. The US could also join this pattern very soon. Really, I think it's amazing that XRP's cap price is now around $30 during this bull run. That seems like a great goal for us to reach. If we can get even half of that at $15, a lot of you watching this video will likely be making a huge amount of money that will change your lives. If we reach $20, there will be a lot of millionaires who have been watching my videos for the past 2 years just because they chose to buy XRP. I want you to know that nothing we talk about in this video is meant to be taken as financial advice. However, I think it's a very exciting time and that no one should sleep on what the crypto market could bring to this country. Today, Raoul Pal is going to really break it down for us in this video. He will give us some new ideas and useful information, which I found very helpful. Press the like button so that everyone in the XRPR can see this. Let's start. Take the group of people between the ages of 25 and 40, which includes older Gen Z and core millennials. They are right in the middle of this trap. Besides crypto giving them a chance, we're also seeing the rise of the specifics of business. It can be seen in forecast markets as well. We can see it now. Robinhood is on the rise. It's amazing how Robinhood has grown at the same time that people are learning that speculation is partly true because they have no other choice. But that brings me to my next point. Speculation is good because it tests all of these things in crypto, these new ideas like memes, in the same way that capital is formed, instant capital creation. Of course, people will still guess because it's fun, even if they don't have a job. I'm not sure. There's a big rise in the business based on speculation. Think as a big mega trend that most people don't see as all that realistic. All you have to do is go to the Fred database and look at the chart of gambling as personal consumption. It shows how much money people spend on gambling, which is now over $200 billion a year in the US. The graph is exactly straight. Then you look at how much money Americans spend on new cars, and that's going down. Right now, personal consumption expenditures on new cars are less than $250 billion, and I'm sure they'll be even lower after the tariffs are taken off. This means that gambling is quickly becoming a big part of the economy, which I think everyone knew because they saw it on TV. They know that there are fan duels all over the place, but I don't think anyone has asked why. I also believe it is very important for young people because they are bored. This is a way to learn. They have a very different view of events than we did. At least they have a chance of getting money. If they buy a fancy dinner, they'll just lose their money. That's why I think crypto fits in. I agree that you need real-time knowledge, real-time prices, and the ability to do things whenever you want. This fits in with a faster world and faster money settlements. I believe it shows that the world is moving faster, which is in line with AI. But I also think it has something to do with how bored and angry people are that they can't enjoy their lives the way they want to. What does it mean to you that all of these business treasuries are now adopting crypto? So I think this part of the year in the last, 18 months has been about slowly accepting Bitcoin as something that will be around in 5 to 10 years. I believe everyone. It was still hard for you to explain to people from traditional hedge funds and banking why this is important when we first met. I thought Jordy was crazy. All of a sudden, everything has changed. You're a crazy person, but that's not the same thing. Yeah, that's not at all the same. Every day, more and more places take Bitcoin. At this point, what is not being accepted? This is a good time to talk about it because I've talked about it in my YouTube movies. I feel like this is a lot like the post.com bubble in the altcoin world. A good number of people seem to have taken part. So think about how many people joined the internet between 1995 and 2000. People quit their jobs and got involved because they thought they could make a lot of money. It was a free thing that got everyone involved. And then there was a big drop. It took a while for the NASDAQ to get out of the problem. And one reason it took so long was that all the banks owned shares of Cross. Everything about this overhang of people who had gone into something. Every time something goes up, there seems to be a wall of supply that stops it from the crypto community. We now have circle excitement. We've got people a little more ready. It's back to the highs thanks to you. I'd say that the world of traditional banking is getting a little more excited. You've combined CoreWeave and Core Scientific in the past week. Here we are, getting some Bitcoin miners back in the game. People who work in traditional banking are now beginning to understand things. I've said in public that I will keep seeing it until a theory comes together. This is because of the unstable places in the network effects, and I think there will be more of them until a theory comes together. I don't think we'll have the start of what I think will be the end of the dot-com bubble overhang. I think that's what we have in crypto from the 21st to the 22nd. A lot of overhang. It looks like there's a lot of supply. And once we get through it, I still think there will be a short squeeze in the whole space this year. I agree with what you said. Aside from ETH setting new records, Solana is likely also setting all-time records since it hasn't broken where it was. And that is an event that makes a lot of money. There are a lot of people participating in this. There are a lot of fortunes to be made, which starts a whole new circle of reinvestment, taking risks when you can, and other things like that. Yes, I agree with you 100%. It feels like that time is almost here. I mean, most of my work says that this year should go on and maybe even the first 2 quarters of next year. I have a question for you. Something we've looked into is that the business cycle is the main force behind what you call alt season for smaller stocks. This shouldn't come as a surprise. And the business cycle is what makes small caps different from big caps. The trade is always the same. EM against that, junk against you name it. This is because once the business cycle picks up and they start making money, they move further out of the risk curve. It is spent again. Why does the ISM keep going down? I mean, this is something you and I have looked at for a very long time. In the history of the ISM, this is the longest time when it has been below or equal to 50. What's the point of this? I remember that Julian and I sat next to each other at the event dinner, and I told you this. In fact, I remember that Julian and I sat next to each other at the event dinner, and I told you this. In fact, I remember that I said, "Get that," when I knew there were no business cycles. That's right. But now I'll say this. The issue is that in a world where AI is becoming more common, there should never be a time when ism takes off. I think it shouldn't happen at all. Now I'm going to change that a little because I do think we're getting closer to something that has to do with the business cycle of AI. At the end of the day, if I compare all cycles to power, that means you have to be building something. And oil has always been that big picture that balances out and isn't controlled by monetary policy and fiscal policy. You need power. That's what it needs to fuel. AI also uses a lot of power, which is odd because we are about to start to see it. Tell someone in Spain this, but we're going to start to see big blackouts, and there will be more of them in the US. I think they'll happen very, very soon because I don't think people have looked at the exponential move. And I think this fits in with the alt season. I think the business cycle is going to change. In the past, when you did something in the economy, it would go. I don't think they exist that way anymore, but I do think they're coming this year because of what's going to be needed to build out the infrastructure on power and data centers.